Hello. Today we are going to review the interaction that happens between MacPractice and the patient portal. As we saw last time, the patient portal can be used for multiple different things, like scheduling an appointment, sending a message to the office, filling out forms, and even updating demographics. We are going to visit each of these topics and how the office will handle these situations. To start off, we will navigate to the messaging ability. If you do not see the messaging ability icon in your toolbar, please go ahead and right-click or control-click in a gray space of your toolbar. This will open up a menu and you will go down and select Customize Toolbar. Once you have done so, you can locate the messaging ability icon and click and drag this icon into the toolbar. After we have added that icon, go ahead and select it so we can go into the messaging ability. In the messaging ability, you will see that there is a patient selector. Below this, you will also see the sidebar with the mailboxes or nodes for the patient portal. The first mailbox is the patient portal inbox. This is where all of your new messages will go. The next is your sent messages. Any messages sent by this user will show up here. The last mailbox or node is archived. This is where any old or unneeded messages will be located. The big thing about the messaging ability is you will only see messages for the user that is currently logged into MacPractice. You are not able to see any messages for any other user. We are going to start off in the patient portal inbox. Across the top, we do have a few buttons. The first button, that is an arrow pointing down to a line. This is your download button. This is an easy way to confirm that you have all of your new messages. The next is the green plus button. This is how you will compose a new message. The last button is going to be what looks like a trash can. This is how you will archive your messages to keep your inbox organized. We are going to start off with learning how to create a new message. In order to create a new message, we will click the green plus sign. This will open up a second window for us. At this point, we can type in the patient portal user. Then, we will select a patient. Bear in mind, the only patients that will show up are the patients that are tied to that patient portal user. Once we have entered in the patient portal user and the patient, we can now enter in the subject and the body of the message. Please do not include any protected health information or personal information in the subject line. Once we have entered in the subject and the body of the message, below we can add an attachment if we would like. However, I do not recommend sending attachments to your patients this way, as they are only tied to this one message and they cannot look back on it. There is another way to share attachments with your patients, which we will review at the end of this class. Once you have added everything needed to your message, you will then click the Send button. Once you click the Send button, you will get a pop-up confirming that you would like to send this message to your patient portal user. Once you hit Send, you will now be able to go into your sent mailbox. and see the top message is the one that you just sent. Now let's go back and review what happens when a patient sends us a message first. In order to do so, we are going to go back into our patient portal inbox. At this point, I can see who the message is from, the subject of the message, which patient it is regarding, and the date we received this message and time. Once I select this message, I can see the body of the message. At this point, in order to reply to this message, we will go up and click on the green plus sign to create a new message. Again, just as before, we will enter in the portal username. We will then enter in a patient. At this point, we will copy over the subject. When we are responding to a message from a patient portal user, I recommend that we either rephrase what their message states or copy and paste their original message in your new message. Once we have completed the message, we will then again click Send. You will then get another pop-up confirming that you would like to send this message. Again, once you click on the Send button, this will show up in your sent mailbox. I did want to point out that the only user that can see the message from a patient or a patient portal user will be the user that they select when they are on the patient portal and sending a message to the office. Whichever user they select will have to be the user that is logged into MacPractice in order to see their message. This is why we want to limit the amount of users that can receive these messages. Other than when an office sends a message to a patient or a patient sends the message to the office, there is another message that will come through, and it is when an appointment is created. When you see these messages, you can easily identify them because they are always going to be from the patient portal. Any new messages will have this blue icon next to them until you select that message. At this point, let's look into what we must do for these appointments that were created online. We are going to start with this one here. When you select these messages, you can see an appointment has been scheduled online for the patient and the date and time. The most important part is that we can see the date and time for this appointment. For this, we need to now navigate to the schedule ability. As we know the date and time for this appointment, we need to ensure everything is filled out properly for our office. In order to navigate to the scheduling ability, we will click on the schedule ability icon located in the toolbar. At this point, we will then navigate to the day needed for that appointment. We can then find the appointment that is needed. At this point, double-clicking on the appointment brings up the appointment display. We can confirm that everything is entered in correctly. This patient was an existing patient, so there really was not anything I needed to do other than confirm that the appointment is there and that everything is filled out as my office likes. Once I have confirmed this, I can go back to the messaging ability, and I can then select that message for that appointment and select the archive button. This will archive this message and keep my inbox organized. Now we are going to look at another appointment creation message. Once we select this message, we can see who the patient is and on what day and time this appointment is. Again, we will navigate to the schedule ability. We will then locate the day and find the appointment. As you can see for this appointment, there is an orange outline, as well as in the appointment node in the sidebar, you can see that the patient's name is listed in orange. Another location that you will also see this appointment now will be in the pending patients node. If you select this node and use the arrow on the left-hand side, that will open up to show you this patient's appointment. At this point, the orange outline on the appointment and the orange patient name is an indicator that something needs to be done with this appointment before we can continue. You are able to double-click on the appointment itself or in the sidebar. Once you double-click on the appointment, whether that is in the sidebar or on your actual schedule, you will get this window. This window is because MacPractice wants to know if this is actually a new patient because this patient was entered in as a new patient. At the top, you will see the patient demographics and the patient portal user demographics as well. Below the patient portal user demographics, there will be a checkbox to continue to allow the portal user to access this patient's information. Below this is a search box. This is used for if this patient is not a new patient and is already an existing patient. We do not want a duplicate. As I can see here, there is a name that is very similar to the one that is entered. I know that this is actually the same user. Once I select this user, you can now see that at the bottom, different information has been pulled. You have two sections on the lower half. The first is what was entered in online. The second is what is actually going to be saved into MacPractice. Anything that is checked on the left-hand side will replace the final MacPractice demographics. You will see a red indication of what was in that section prior to you checking the box to change this. Any checkboxes that are automatically checked on the left-hand side is because the information is not currently in MacPractice. The phone numbers, even if there is an open spot, will not automatically check, as you may have more than one phone number that you are wanting on file, and we do not want to replace a phone number that is already on file without your permission. If you do check mark the phone number box, you can rearrange the order of the phone numbers as you see fit. You can also change what type of phone number it is. At this point, I am not needing to create a new patient, as this is an existing patient. You can see that I have two buttons in the lower right-hand corner. The first one is to cancel. This will stop all of the work we have just done with this appointment. The second one is to merge. When you select a patient from the search option, you then see that MacPractice knows you are merging this patient onto an existing patient. For this example, we will go ahead and click the merge, as this is an existing patient and not a new patient. This will pop up an alert letting you know you are merging the final MacPractice demographics into an existing patient record. This will overwrite the existing patient information. You cannot undo this action. Are you sure you want to continue? Once you click merge again, you will now see that Alice Wonderland no longer has an orange outline around her name. You can also see in the sidebar that appointment is no longer in orange and no longer in the pending patients node. At this point, we have completed this appointment and can go back to the messaging ability. We can then select the appointment message for that appointment and click the Archive Message button. Again, we will then archive this message. The last type of appointment is going to be when we need to enter in as a new patient. Again, we will select this message to locate the patient's name and the date and time of their appointment. We will then go into the scheduling ability, locate that day and time for that patient. Again, as you can see, that patient does have an orange border around their appointment, as well as they are showing up in orange under the Appointments node and Pending Patients node. If we double-click on this appointment, it will bring up the window we just discussed. At this point, we can see that there is no patient that is already existing for this new patient. The difference that comes into play here will be that at the bottom, the entered online information, both the first and last name, will remain checked, and you are not able to uncheck them. This is because MacPractice requires a first and a last name in order to create an account. You can then decide if you would like to keep the email address, date of birth, and phone number that was entered online. At this point, We have two options for creating a new patient. We can create a brand new account for this patient, or we can add this patient onto an existing account. At the bottom, if you do click on the Add to Existing Account, you will get a pop-up that will be a search window. This will search for any patients similar to your current patient. You can then select the account you would like this patient to be added to. Once you click OK, that patient will be added onto that existing account. If your office does not use family accounts and creates a brand new account for each patient, please do not use the Add to Existing Account. For that situation, you will want to click on the Create button located in the lower right-hand corner. Once you click Create, that patient will be created onto an account of their own. Again, at this point, we can see that this patient no longer has an orange outline and is no longer in the Pending Patients node in the sidebar. We can then go back to the messaging ability, select the appointment message. Again, we are going to archive this message to ensure that our inbox is staying organized. At this point, we know how to handle all of the messages that may come into our office. We are going to move over into learning how to send forms manually to a patient and a patient portal user. In order to do this, we will navigate to the EHR ability in your toolbar. Again, if you do not see this in your toolbar, please right-click or control-click in the gray space of your toolbar. You will then go to Customize Toolbar, locate the EHR ability icon, and drag and drop this into your toolbar. Once you have done so, you will then click on EHR. In order to send any forms or to view any forms from the patient portal, you must have a patient selected in this ability. Using the patient selector, I'm going to locate a patient. I can now see a lot more information regarding this patient and their forms in the EHR ability. In order to send a form to a patient or a patient portal user, in your sidebar, you will select Registration Forms. Once you have selected Registration Forms, you will then click the green plus sign above the sidebar. This will then allow you to select any forms that you have available to use on the portal. Once you have selected the form, you will then select the patient portal user. A patient may have more than one patient portal user, so we must select one. Below the patient portal user, we can add special instructions. These will be sent to your patient portal user as a message, so it will not be directly attached to the form. In order to see completed forms that we have already sent to the portal, we will use the arrow on the on the left of the registration forms in order to open it up and see the forms that we have made available online. To the right of these forms, you will see a status of either new or modified. If they are new, those are forms that your patient portal user or patient have not filled out yet. If it does say modified, that means the form has been filled out and submitted to your office. We will select the modified form. At this point, we can see the information for the form that we had requested that the patient or the patient portal user fill out. If this does seem complete and does seem accurate, we will then drag and drop this into an incident. This will then lock the form. Your patient will now be able to see this under their health records, but they will no longer be able to edit it or submit it to the office. For any forms that are filled out on the Clipboard app, those will be located in this node that says Documents Without Visit. We will do the same for these forms. Once they have been filled out, we will then select them and drag and drop them onto the incident as we would need. If a patient portal user sees a form that has already been associated to an incident that cannot be edited, they will have to put in a correction. As they are not able to edit these forms anymore, the office will have to complete this correction. In order to see correction requests, we will need to navigate to the order's ability. We do have an icon for the order's ability, or you can go through the patient's ability to the last tab on the right, labeled Orders. If you would like the order's ability icon to be in your toolbar, again, please right-click or control-click on the gray space of your toolbar and select Customize Toolbar. You will then locate the order's ability icon and drag and drop this onto your toolbar. Please keep in mind, when you are in the order's ability, the patient selector is a filter, so you will not be able to see anything other than what is from this patient. The type will be listed as correction. When you select the correction, it will open up in the view down below. This will look like a regular order, but have information in the short description and long description specifically for the form that needs corrected. As the patient cannot correct this form, the office is required to do so. At this point, you can then assign this order to a specific user in order to correct that form and to look further into this. We will not be going into how to correct an EHR form today. However, if your office needs to do this and does not know how, please do not hesitate to contact support by popping the bubble. The next type of order we will see is when a patient tries to update their demographics from the patient portal. You will see this type listed as Web Patient Demographic Update. If we select this, The main thing we need to look at is the long description. In the long description, it will have their current information along with the requested change information so we can see the difference. If this information is something that we approve to change, we can then click the Approve button. This will update your patient as well as close out the order. The last thing I would like to cover today will be sharing attachments with your patients and patient portal users. In order to do so, we will navigate to the Attachments ability. Again, as before, if you do not have this abilities icon in your toolbar, please right-click or control-click on your toolbar, go to Customize Toolbar, and drag and drop the Attachments ability icon onto your toolbar. Once we select the Attachments icon in our toolbar, we will then make sure that we have a patient selected in the Patient Selector. Once we have done so, we can then open up our patient attachments. In our patient attachments, we can then select one of the attachments that we have saved. In the upper right-hand corner of this attachment, you have a checkbox option to share in Portal. This makes this image or document available to your patient portal user and patient. We will then use a Command S to save. You may also share attachments in the portal for locked patient attachments as well. That is going to cover all the information I have for you today. Again, if you do have any future questions, please don't hesitate to reach out to our support team.